Let's go, Rider Nation.
I'm ready. I'm ready. Yeah, here we go. Here we go. Get the feeling now. Get 'em high, get 'em low. 'Cause we're dealing now. Everybody's giving it all they got. 'Cause we're ready.
Welcome to the Piffles Podcast, your Saskatchewan Roughriders fan podcast. Thanks for joining us this week. And we're short somebody today, and I'm not too upset about that because we have a fantastic replacement. As always, you got me.
I've been
I'm
missing
Alex.
him, Bob. I'm Steve.
Exactly. And we're not missing Greg this week because, last time, Steve, when you were gone, we got replacement Paul Lapalisse on. That was pretty great. So we have to find a replacement Greg this week. Well, I figured who better, especially when the Riders are debuting a new jersey, the Obsidians this week. Reminds me of those old black jerseys. Somebody who wore one of those black jerseys. So we're going to bring on our replacement Greg here in just a minute. He's a Grey Cup champion too. So always love having Grey Cup champions because they got some good stories from like after parties and stuff. So maybe we'll see if we can get one from 2007 out of this guest. But you can give us a follow on X at Piffles Pod. I'm at Real Alex D.
You can find me at Safamod, and don't give Greg any pity follows.
He mentioned he wants your pity follows this week. So please,
he's feeling sad after the loss.
Yeah, pity follow Greg this week. Check us out on Facebook as well, and of course, the website pifflespodcast.com. Thanks for listening wherever you find the podcast, watching on YouTube, on SaskTel Max TV on demand. We appreciate it. Piffles Podcast, of course, is brought to you by our great friends at Dairy Queen on Elphinstone Street and Sask Drive in Regina. Well, let's we're gonna switch things up a little bit this week. We're gonna bring on our guest first. We'll talk a little bit more about the Riders-Lions game a little bit later on. I don't want to dwell on it because it was a loss. I don't really want to talk about a loss too much, even though we're not really upset about it. But we'll talk about that in a little bit. Let's get to the opening kickoff right now. And joining us this week here on the Piffles Podcast, you guys know him as Chunky, back from the 2007 Grey Cup winning team, Marcus Adams. Marcus, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. How you guys doing?
Excellent.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
One of my favorite Rough Riders of all time. I do have to say, because you're one of the nicest guys around, and ran into you actually at Mosaic Stadium a couple weeks ago for the Toronto Argonauts game. We're going to ask you a little bit about that as well too. Defensive tackle, and actually defensive tackle is the new head coach here of Saskatchewan, and we're gonna ask you about that. Maybe that's a little career path for you with your coaching going on right now. So, but that game against Toronto, you were here at Mosaic Stadium. You got to see this team firsthand.
Mm-hmm.
We'll give you the floor. What was your takeaway from what you saw about this 2024 Saskatchewan Roughriders team?
I really like the defense. I think the defense is really fast. They run to the ball, which is always great. I think the linebacker number 6, that his number.
Thurman. Yeah,
that dude is good. I like that dude. I don't know who he is, but I like him. He was running sideline to sideline and putting his nose in everything. So I really like the defense. I wish I would have seen the starting quarterback play instead of the backup. I really want to get a good chance to see the team as a whole and not with a backup quarterback. But the backup quarterback did pretty well. Started off very, very rough, but I feel like as the game went on, he got a rhythm and started settling down a little bit. So, but the team overall, if they don't make it at least to the Western Finals, I think they ought to smack themselves in the face 3 times.
Now, I know you're not able to watch all the games, but you do still catch what you can, and you pay attention to the green and white. Who has been impressing you so far?
Like I said, the linebacker number 6, and what's the receiver name? Tall, light-skinned guy. terrible with names.
Kean Schaefer Baker.
Yeah,
He's
him.
the tall guy, really
I,
tall guy.
I think he's pretty good. Remind me of like a healthier version of Matt Dominguez, I would say. Matt had the knee problem, but
Yeah.
before that, Matt was great. But no, he remind me of Matt a little bit. But I think the whole line is good. Running backs are good. That running back, man, I saw him at in the parking lot one day when I took my mom to the Ryder store that like the day before a game, I think, and I didn't know he was a running back. I thought he was like a linebacker or something or a defensive end. That's a big dude. I would not want to tackle him.
He loves to go for contact. He's the first guy going into a guy rather than playing that speed game and going around guys. It's fun to watch.
Sometimes you need that. You need that sometimes. Yeah, I like it. But no, I think overall the team is good. I think Coach Mace, I think that breath of fresh air is what probably the players needed, and to hear it from a different voice, and he's young and he's hip to the new guys, I guess you want to say. So, but no, I think it's great. It'd have been great if he would have hired me as the D-line coach, but he didn't. But that's neither here nor there. But one day, maybe one day,
I'll slide your number under his desk next time I'm at Mosaic Stadium.
Well,
right?
He has my number. We talked before on the phone a
Okay.
few times, so he knows what I want to do. O'Day knows too. So O'Day's been knowing since I retired. But it's all good. I mean, I had an interview with Ottawa this past year.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, they gave it to Greg Marshall, who it's
Yeah.
funny. Greg Marshall ended my football career in Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
Then he took my job in Ottawa. I'm going to talk to that guy face to face one day.
I don't think you're going to get a lot of love for Greg Marshall in Saskatchewan either.
No.
I was going to say, if it makes you feel better, he didn't last much longer in 2011 than you did. So,
yeah. Yeah. Was it 5 games? They were like 0-5 or something like that?
0-5.
1-5.
1-5 they started. Yeah.
They beat. I think they beat Montreal, right?
I think so. Yeah. But then, that was a mess of a season. Greg doesn't let us talk about that season very often. To him, it didn't happen. So I think there's worse seasons out there. So that one's not too bad.
No.
Well, I want to talk to you about the defensive line.
Mm-hmm.
You're a D lineman. The importance of someone like a Micah Johnson.
Yeah.
That goes unnoticed by a lot of fans. Like, I mean, the hardcore fan, they know who Micah Johnson is. I'm sure the casual fans as well. They've heard the name, but watching the game, you don't see the sacks. You don't see those, the sexy stats from him. Right. And, same thing with you. You're clogging up the middle, making, Nate Davis and Scott Schultz beside you look good. And Terrell Jareniak, Fred Perry, John Chick, all those guys on the D line on the end, you were giving them one-on-ones, right? How important? How important is someone like a Micah Johnson to any successful football team, even though he's not getting those big glory stats?
I think anybody who knows football, or even the coaching staff, the GM, the scouts, and his teammates, they know how important he is, because he does demand a double team pretty much every play. And when you're not double teaming him, he's in the backfield making stuff happen. So I think as long as, even when I play, I think as long as your teammates and your coaching staff understands what you do and love what you do and how you do it, that's all that matters. I mean, I still sometimes I go back and I have memories on Facebook pop up, or I'm looking at my old scrapbook I have that a fan made me, and I remember guys' names who was on Rider Fans, that page, and just drilling me every day. I'm like, bro, I just had like a sack. I had 7 tackles. What are you talking about? Like, so, I think a lot of fans just want, they want to, I don't know, they want somebody like Reggie White or somebody to come back alive and play for the Riders. I don't know, but you know what I'm saying. So it's just, I feel like he knows that his teammates and the coaching staff and the people who really know football, they know what he do is good, and that's why he still has a job.
as a Packers fan, I would absolutely love Reggie White to come back alive and play for the Riders. Just saying, that would be fantastic.
But, I had his number my rookie year. So
number 92, I remember that.
Yeah,
actually,
year,
I think way back in the day, I think it might have been like 2005. I think I had, but I had photos of the team, and I went to a practice and I showed you that one, and I remember you signing that for me, and you were like, "Oh my God, number 92."
I think I had that. Was that in a white jersey?
It was either the white or the black. I don't remember. It wasn't the green one.
I think I have a picture of myself that I autographed. I don't know if somebody gave it to me, but I was like, I got hair. Like, yeah, I got hair. I'm like, wow. It was pretty neat.
Damn near 20 years ago.
Man.
Now, we're looking at this team right now, and we're seeing guys like Trevor Harris, multiple O-linemen going down. Injuries are starting to pile up. You guys went through that in the 2008 season where it seemed like anybody in cleats was breaking legs. How does that affect guys in the locker room?
I think for that team, we've been together for so long. Schultz and O'Day and Gino and all those guys. And Reggie Hunt. Was Reggie Hunt still there? I think Reggie Hunt was in Toronto.
He might have gone to Montreal.
Yeah, but I mean Eddie Davis, all those, like the Omar Morgan came back. And, like we just say, you know what? Next man up. We got to make sure that our play steps up another level to help out the young guys. And it sucks because we had to cut Marcus Crandall that year to bring in more of a mobile quarterback. But no, I think it's really all mentality. You just got to make sure that you help the new guys out as much as possible and take as much off their plate as possible. And that's what we did, I think. Except, Michael Bishop, from what I'm told from the BC Lions players, that he was just out there just throwing the ball anywhere. So
he was chucking it up, and I think Western Dressler was coming down with it.
Hey, Dressler, man, I know who that dude was. Then I was like, hey, man, who's this big dude, man? I was like, I love him, whoever he is. I was like, man.
Now you went through, when you were here in Saskatchewan, a pretty massive regime change, going from Roy Shivers and Danny Barrett to Eric Tillman and Kent Austin. This team right now goes from, they kept Jeremy O'Day as the GM, but they go from Craig Dickinson as head coach to Corey Mace, and there's 20 years age difference between them. Both teams, your team back then and this team now, kept a lot of the core players together, bringing in some other guys as well. When something major like that happens, what is it like for the players?
Well, I can speak for myself. It was very, very nerve-wracking because I knew Eric Tillman wanted a bigger 3-tech. I know he wanted like a Nate Davis size player or somebody taller than 5'11", So me going to that season, 07, even when he got there in 06, and after they fired Roy Shivers, I remember Danny Barrett called me into his office. He was like, "Hey, tell me when to put you on practice roster." And he said, "But I'm gonna try to avoid that as long as possible because you've been doing your thing." So I knew going into that off season, I had to really, really train my butt off to make sure when I do come back, I'm not giving Mr. Tillman any kind of any kind of reason to cut me, So that off season, man, I probably trained as hard as I ever trained in my life because I knew I did not want to get cut. I knew it was my chance to play that year, but even the first day of practice, I didn't play. I didn't start. They had Jermaine Haley, and I had to work my way through him too. So, but no, I know for myself, it's very, very nerve-wracking because you don't know what those coaches want until practice already started or, until you're already in the thick of things. And so, at least Coach Austin said he liked me, but I don't know if Mr. Tillman liked me or not. I mean, now he does, but I don't know back then as a player he did. Because I think some of the players who he brought in as a D tackle told me different things. Yeah.
When there's a change like that at the top, do players, especially guys that have been around for a while, have much communication with the new staff coming in ahead of the season? Like, did you kind of, get to know the new staff before training camp, or was it you were coming in blind and?
No, I came in blind. Like, I think if I was living in Regina, I probably would have had a chance to meet them before the season, but I was still living in the States. So when I came up, I did try to meet, Coach Austin as fast as possible, Coach Miller, Coach Lopolis. I try to make sure I meet those guys and, let them know that, hey, I'm supporting you guys and I'm here to work my butt off for you guys. So, but yeah, I think if I was living in Regina, I probably would have met him the first that he got on. They got it in the city.
Now, one of my favorite things from when you played was black jerseys. I loved those things. I still do.
Yeah.
I wish they'd bring them back. They won't, but I wish they would. This upcoming week against Winnipeg, the Riders are debuting their new Obsidian Jerseys uniform. That's that really dark green.
Yeah.
It reminds me a little bit of the black jerseys. I can't explain it, but you guys were just better when you wore those things.
We did. We were. I think we were too. And
Why?
a lot of times at home, we would come out in our green jerseys and we would go back in and they would have our black jerseys hanging up in our locker to surprise us. So every time we came back in and they were in the locker, we got pumped because we knew we don't play like it's time to ball because we don't look good and it's time to play hard. So I don't think we lost any home games in our all black jerseys. I don't think in our all black uniform.
Rob Vanstone put the record out a couple months ago. Anyway, I think you guys were 7-2 wearing those jerseys.
Oh wow!
But I don't get it. Like, is it that whole mentality of look good, feel good, play good?
Yeah, but I know in 07, Tillman hated them.
Yeah.
So that's why he's like, no more black jerseys. We're gonna wear our silver pants every week. I was like, oh my God. Like, so but I think all black, we knew we looked good. So we knew we looked good, we know we don't play good. So, we don't want to look bad in our fancy black jerseys.
You guys finally beat Montreal wearing those things. I remember Chris Zarka getting a pass from Henry Burris in 04, I think it was.
Yep.
Taking a little dump pass over the middle 50 some odd yards.
Yeah. And the thing about Henry Burris, I wish the fans would have listened to us back in the day. When they was yelling, Henry, he played better when they did that. So we'd be like, will y'all shut up? Like, talking to Henry to this day, he loves it. And I'm like, oh my God, no wonder you played better when we started chanting that your name. And so sorry about that. That was just something that ate me up every year. I would hear somebody say Henry. I'm like, shut up.
I apologize then because I was probably one of the loudest Henry chanters out there.
Yeah, we were all doing that in section 27. I promise you that.
Oh my God. He used to tell us on the field. He's like, hey, y'all, I love it. I was like, we can tell you just like completed 8 in a row and got 20 freaking first downs.
As far as rivalries go, I don't know that there was a better player for fans to love to hate than Henry Burris. Like, he played off that. It was fantastic for years. That Saskatchewan-Calgary rivalry was great for that.
Yeah,
however many years he ended up in Calgary.
It was great and it was very, very physical. So we knew every time we played Calgary, we are in for a dogfight. And we would be in the cold tub that night. And we were every time we played them. It was rough. Like their O-line and, even with Joffrey Reynolds, running the ball hard as he did, it was, sometimes I'll be like, oh my God, can we not play Calgary again this year? It was tough some nights. It was tough.
Going into those games against Calgary, what like the D-line talk? Was it just like, we're going to give Henry that just a little extra hard of a hit? Is it like, was it like, we really got to hit this guy more so than in like any other game?
Yeah, like I feel like if we always talk, if we got to him early, then we're good. But if we let him get a rhythm and then try to disrupt him, it's too late. He's already feeling good. He's already, knowing what we're doing on defense. But every time we got to him early in the game, we always seem to do well and win the football game. But that was the big thing with Henry. You let Henry get his feet set, let him get comfortable in a rhythm, then I think you're in trouble.
The 2013 game or Grey Cup game can confirm that as fact, because they were in his kitchen early, and
Yep.
everybody remembers the picture of Henry Burris looking back at that missed snap that went over his shoulders. And, great memories.
Yep. That was a fun night. I remember watching it from home. I was like, why did I have to get cut 2 years ago?
Well, you got the one in 2007, and I know that one was in Toronto. So you had a few hours in Toronto. Did you guys have a few hours in Toronto after the game, and all the media kind of left the locker room, or was it straight back to Regina that night? What can you say?
We had a whole night in Toronto.
Okay.
And it was a night to remember. I will tell you that much. Yeah, it was a night to remember. That's for sure. I think about it very often. But no, it was fun. We won, and we like. I flew my family up from Indianapolis, and we went to dinner after the game, and my brothers, their girlfriends and wives, some of my best friends. I had a bill that was like over $1,000 at a restaurant. And I was like, man, I don't want to pay this bill, but I know I got to. And I said, I'll take the bill. He's like, it's already been paid for. I was like, what? So yeah, the guy over there already paid for it. And the guy that was sitting there, I remember he left the restaurant for 20 minutes. He said, right back. I said, okay. And I guess he came back sweating. And it was cold outside. So he went to his hotel room before I could sign a picture for him. And then I guess on the way out, he paid for our bill. And I was like, whoa, what's about to happen tonight and for the rest of the off season?
We joke about that like if you win here in Saskatchewan, you don't have to, buy yourself a drink or anything. That's actually true.
Very true. Very true. Oh yeah. And I don't drink. The first time I had a drink of alcohol, I was 28 years old because I lost a bet. But we had a party at the Tap. No, was it the Tap? No, what was the one that was down on Albert Street?
The press box.
No, the one going toward one right by downtown. Oh, what was that place called? Good place called. But we went there. We had a party there, and Jameis Jones and Corey. What was Corey's like? He's a head coach at Carleton right now.
Oh, Corey Grant.
Deuce, Jameis Jones and Corey Grant. I want to fight them to this day. No, I'm just playing. They gave me a drink that tasted like pancakes. It was so delicious. I was like, this ain't no alcohol. I just kept on knocking them back.
Oh no.
Shots. And I was killing them. I probably had about 15 of them, I guarantee you. And that thing, I was like, what in the world? And I'm on the dance floor dancing, and I'm taking my shirt off. It was a wild night. But I hope my kids don't listen to this podcast. But no, but just and they just kept on feeding us free drinks all night long. And we had the cup with us, and all the fans were there, and we just had a good time. And that whole off season was special, where we took the cup around the whole province, and everywhere we went, I don't think we paid a nickel for anything. Like anything, we didn't pay for nothing. That was a great tour, by the way. Grey Cup tour. That was a.
When you guys won, that game, and you got to lift the Grey Cup. I think I know the answer to this. So you're gonna have a secondary answer to this, Marcus.
Okay.
Who did you first think of when you held that Grey Cup? You're gonna say your mom, aren't you?
Yeah.
Okay, you
But
gotta pick somebody different.
I thought
Who's
of my
the next
mom,
person?
but after I held it up for a second and thought of my mom, I thought about how proud my dad would have been of me if he was alive to see this. That was my whole motivation, was my mom and him and my dad. I always wanted my dad to see me play professional football. And my dad died when I was 20 years old. I was a second year in college, and he died. So I was like, man, like, if I make to the pros one day, it's gonna be bittersweet, because I know he won't be there to like have fun with me and party with me, because he was a party guy. He was funny. So, but yeah, I think the second thought was my dad, of course, and then after that, my brothers and all my friends and my neighborhood where I'm from, all made sure that they were proud of me too. So, when I held it up, all that emotions went through my body of thinking about everybody who has helped me out, former coaches, stuff like that. So,
Who cried the most?
my mom, my
Okay.
mom. It's a picture I got on my Facebook. I think the TV camera
Yes.
followed me, I guess, down to the end zone, and my mom was right there, and
That's one
I
of my
wanted to
favorite
cry.
things, because the video shows you giving her a big giant hug. I remember
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
and she said, "Your daddy be so proud of you right now." I said, "Yeah, I know." So it
Now,
was good.
I have to ask, as somebody who watched but never got to see a game, what was it like playing in the Arena Football League?
Arena Football League is, people think it's as a second class league, but when I played for the Colorado Crush and Chicago Rush, that was probably the most physical football I've ever played in my life, because it's not about speed. It's all about power and being explosive. And those guys, a lot of those guys are former NFL players that played back then when I played. I don't know about now, but back then when I played, them guys, and we made more money than we did in the CFL. Like, they made more money. Like, my contract in Colorado was more than my contract in the CFL. So
That's
when
crazy.
I had to go back to the CFL, I was kind of pissed. But yeah, Arena League is it's fun. The game is never over, just like the CFL is never over, but it's very, very physical. And there's some good players, man. Some really good players. So people always say, "Oh, you play arena football." I'm like, all right, you give it a shot and see how your body feels the next day. you know? So it was tough.
Gonna pull back the curtains a little bit. Just before we started this show, you actually talked about a little bit about Norm Fong, and I actually have a question here about Normie. I know that he used to love playing pranks on guys, especially, like, he's got some really good stories about Dave Ridgway and Ray Algard from way back in the day. Him joining in on the pranks, but like staying in the background while doing it as well too.
Mhm.
Did he ever get you on a prank, or did he ever help you out pulling one off on one of the teammates?
No, he didn't. He didn't. I guess when I was there, Norm was towards the end of his career. So Norm did a lot of I want to say, I don't want to call Norm out. I love Norm. Norm did a lot of watching and sitting around, you know. But I will give you a quick story. When we won the Grey Cup in '07, he was an equipment guy for Coach Austin too, right? So, and Norm wanted to keep, he wanted to keep all our jerseys, all our helmets, for the Christmas sale and all the snow. And Coach Austin said, "Hey, everybody, whatever's in your locker is yours." And if you would have saw the look on Norm's face. When I tell you, that guy, it looks to the Coach Austin, he would have been dead that day. Norm was so mad. I mean, he was pissed. Like we took everything. Like I think I took my shoulder pads. I don't think I was supposed to, but I did. But I took helmet, shoulder pad, pants, socks, all my gloves. I took everything in my locker because Coach Austin said we could. So, but that day Norm was not very cheerful.
Do you still have that stuff?
Oh yeah,
Do you put it on every once in a while?
it's in my storage down in
Oh.
down in Arizona.
You don't, so you can't just like put it on and be like, okay, I'm ready to go. Call me in.
No, actually,
No.
I let my son. No, I think I took it back. I let my son wear my helmet one day to a show and tell when he was younger, and he's like, "Dad, can I have it?" I was like, "I don't think so, buddy." Helmets mean a little bit too much to me. I've been through a lot in that helmet, but I gave him my Grey Cup ring. I said, "When I'm dead and gone, you can take my Grey Cup ring." So
Now, I know your son was recently, if I remember correctly, was involved with the U16 tournament here in Saskatchewan, and he's
yeah,
basically turned into a little football star of his own. What's that like as
yeah,
a parent watching your son do the thing
it's
that you loved?
it's special, man, because it's. I feel like he's. I feel like he's I don't know, he really watched all the football guys he were around growing up, all the Belton Johnson, Wayne Smith, uh, you know, who else? Marcus Crandall, Darian Durant, West Case. I feel like he watched all that stuff when he came to practice. He would watch it and he would like watch it like a hawk. Like he wasn't one of the little kids that wanted to just play around with the dummies and stuff like that. He was actually watching. So to see him doing what I love to do and what I was hoping he would do as he grew up it's like Christmas every day. And I just love watching him play. I love the way he plays. Um, I think I got mad at him one time, maybe. Yeah, I got mad at him one time a couple years ago. Some kid pushed him down and he didn't do nothing about it, and I was pretty pissed. And I think he knew I was. But other than that, man, like when I was up there last week, it was like Christmas watching him play. Like he's really better than I thought he would be. So I'm very happy for him. And I always tell him, don't tell everybody you're Chunky's son or Marcus' son. Just be you. Just be MJ and just be your own man. So but yeah, it's special though.
Do you find for him maybe that's the hardest thing is trying not to be his father? We see that happen so often in sports. I'm sure Bronny James is probably going through that right now, all the pressure on him, right?
Yes.
But like just to be yourself, you're not going to be your father,
Mhm.
like do you find that that's probably maybe the hardest thing for MJ then?
I don't know. I've always told him growing up, I want you to be better than me. So I don't, and I think he's starting to understand that everything I do, I'm doing it to make you and your sister better than me. Be a better father, be a better son, be a better brother. Everything that I do in my life, I want them to do better. So I don't think like I don't think he really buys into the whole name thing. But every play he makes a run, Marcus Adams on the run. So like, so everybody like, oh, that's Chunky's son. So and I don't think he cares about it too much, which I'm happy. I want him to be his own man. I want him to be. My goal for him is go to the NFL. Like, be better than me. If you go to CFL, be a 10-time CFL All-Star. You know what I mean? Like, be way better than your dad. So that's my ultimate goal in life is make sure that him and his sister are better than me in everything.
Well, he'll have to put in the work because you were a pretty damn good football player yourself, Marcus.
Yeah, oh, thank you. I do appreciate it. I do appreciate that. I did my best with what I had. I wish I was taller, but wish I had longer arms, but I didn't. So it's all good. I enjoyed myself.
Well, if we're
No, go ahead.
looking at your post playing career, you're now a D line coach and a recruiter for Wabash College in Indiana. First of all, how's that going for you? And second, which do you prefer, coaching or recruiting?
Wabash is great. I love it here. They take great care of us. I didn't know a school this size can be so rich. Like, they got a lot of freaking money here. Let me tell you right now. Like tomorrow, I'm off to Arizona to recruit again, and this is my third trip to Arizona this summer. So they take great care of us. My players are great. They're all future doctors, lawyers, business owners, engineers. So I always, try to be best friends with my players to make sure when they make all that money, don't forget about old coach over here, buddy. Don't forget about your coach over here. So, but no, my players are great. They're smart. They work hard. They're talented. They're very surprising. Like Division, I always thought growing up, Division III, like them players suck. But no, I got some guys who are really good, and I have a quarterback that we had last year named Liam Thompson, and he had a workout with the Giants. I think Hamilton Ticats has his rights. And when I tell you this dude, if he ever gets his chance in the CFL, I'm telling you right now, he's going to be a superstar. But because he played in the Division III, I know those. I know the CFL guys. I know them all the GMs, all the scouts. I know them all. So I know they like, oh, he didn't play anybody. But as a guy who was a scout for 2 years in Montreal Alouettes, he got it. I'm telling you right now. He broke every school record. He broke every conference record that's ever been made. So if he gets his shot, just watch out for him. And I hope he gets his shot. I'm doing my best to help him out. But yeah, I hope he makes it. But to answer your second question, what was it again? I forgot.
Which do you prefer, coaching or recruiting?
Recruiting.
It's
I
the trip,
love
isn't it?
I love scouting. Yes, like I love scouting. I'm a loner by nature, so I like watching football games by myself or studying film, critiquing players. I critique players every day. Like I don't tell them I do, but in my mind, I'm like, what would I say about this player? Even my son, I'm critiquing him like crazy. But when I see him after the game, hey man, great game. You look good out there, son. I love you. But in my mind, I'm like, well, you should have broke that tackle. You missed that cutback. You know what I mean? So it just comes natural. But I love coaching too. I love helping the guys. But I think if I had my choice to pick, it would be scouting because it's more of a secure job. Coaching, you can get fired tomorrow. You gotta find who don't pay my mortgage. I don't know, but you're out of here. So but
Well, we
but no,
saw that this last week or yesterday with Chris Jones up here in the CFL.
man,
You're only as
that
good as your
is-
last game as a coach.
and that is tough. But they got paying so much money though.
Yeah,
They
he's
got
not going to
paid
be
a lot of
hurting for a
money.
while.
No, they got paid him a lot of money. And if G-Roy is on this chat, G-Roy, give me a job, bro. I love you.
I got his number. We'll send him a text here. And then you can send the check in the mail after, Marcus.
Oh, yes, I got you.
All right. Perfect. Marcus, thanks so much for taking some time to join us here, sharing some stories, talking some football. Always a pleasure to see you. And it was great to see you a couple weeks ago. And is there any return trips to Regina coming anytime soon?
Yes, I'll be back in October. We have a bye week in October. Yeah, in the first part of October, I think around Thanksgiving time. I told my son I'm coming to a game sometime in October, so he don't know what day I'm coming there. So I'm gonna surprise him at the football game. But yeah, I'm coming back in October for I hope to see a home game for Riders and see my son play. So that'd be great.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for joining us here, and we'll see you in October.
No problem. You guys take care.
All right. Take care.
Thanks for coming.
All right. Bye.
Marcus Adams here on the Piffles podcast. Man, if we had more time, like if we did a 2-hour show, we could fill that with just Marcus.
Oh.
And
I would love it.
And he
I could
actually
sit there and
pointed
listen to
out,
stories all day.
he pointed it out. I think that's our problem, Steve, is the critiquing is we do that on here. And that's our problem. We're not doing
so
it.
we do it out loud.
Yeah. I think we do the quiet things loud.
So what we should be doing is saying, good job, Riders. We love you. And move on to the next one.
Yeah, pretty much.
Starting to
Which is
make a
kind of
lot
what
sense.
we're doing here about this last game, Riders Lions. We'll talk a little bit about that here in the opening kickoff. We won't get too in depth. Like I said, it's a loss. We don't want to talk a lot about a loss because nobody wants to hear about it. But there was good out of that game. Won 35-20. It kind of shows that that game was kind of out of reach at times, or it felt like it. But at the same time, I think that score also flattered the Lions. Like, it's weird because it kind of flatters the Riders a little bit with how many, drives they did give up. But really quick, what was your takeaway, and how do you feel about that game now?
If you would have told me a week ago that I'd be happy that the Riders lost by 13 points and I'd feel good about it, I'd call you crazy. Honestly, that game was 22-20 early in the fourth quarter. It was back and forth. The momentum was going back and forth from the second quarter on. We saw Patterson have another questionable first quarter, and from then on, he was reliable. You take away Justin McInnes, and we did for half of a quarter, and that game is different.
Yeah, because
that was the difference, right? Yeah, the only thing that could stop him was literally his cramp.
Yep.
But I mean, I'm happy with that performance. That shows us that we have something to aim for. We know where we need to get to. They are now the marking point for the West Division. That's where you got to get to, is the BC Lions, and we were right there for most of that game.
Yeah. The offense was able to move the ball. I don't want to say at will, but they consistently were moving the ball. What I really liked is like, especially out of the big plays, like Sam Emelis had 2 50-yard catches, was the blocking on it. You saw AJ Ouellette running down the field, throwing a big block. Joe had a great block on that play as well, too. And what I'm seeing from this offense anyway is when the ball's not coming to you, you're still making a play. This is like the anti-Duron Carter offense, where you're involved, right? You're seeing the running back put out lead blocks. And that it's stuff like that. It's little things like that to me creates a championship type team. Oh no.
Oh no, you're actually
Why?
recording.
Yeah, we are recording, and you just jumped right in the middle of it. Go back on vacation.
Say my name and I appear.
Oh
Anyway.
my. Well, I hope you got those pity follows I asked for. So,
I hope so too.
Greg, we're actually just talking about the Riders' loss. You just missed Chunky by a couple minutes, by the way.
Did I?
So you're
Aw, all right.
Yeah. But we were just talking a little bit about the game. Talking about some of the good stuff out of the game against the Lions. The D-line, I thought, had their best pressure all season long. Vernon Adams, obviously, he gets paid to play too, right? So he made some good plays escaping the rush and throwing the ball to McInnes. But I thought that was one of their better games of the year.
Oh, definitely. They showed up, and there was a lot of pressure on Vernon. But we saw that last year as well. Riders had a game plan for Vernon. Unfortunately, he is going to get those yards, and I guess no one told the team to cover McInnes. I think that's the story of this year for every team. McInnes is lighting guys up, and he finds a way to find those soft spots in the zone, and is always open for Vernon, which is good for Vernon and good for him.
I think the Riders just went, well, he didn't do a whole lot when he was here. He's not going to do a whole lot against us, and left him open, and we saw how that went, and it went poorly. What did he end up with? 240?
243. Yeah.
Yeah.
And several times in our group chat during the game, we would say, second down, what's the odds that this is a pass to McInnes? And sure enough, every time it was
Every
a
time.
pass to McInnes. Like, you knew it was coming. They couldn't
Well,
stop
we
it.
were on
He's
McInnes
finally
watch every
using his
time
size.
the lines came out. It was like, oh, McInnes is in the huddle. Watch out.
Yeah, that half a quarter while he was gone was the only time we could stop them from moving the ball between the 20s. But you mentioned the run block or the run blocking and the moving to the ball on offense. I think that's an entire team philosophy because if you look defensively as well, it's exactly the same thing. And Chunky mentioned it with Jameer Thurman. He's going sideline to sideline every time there's a guy with the ball. There are 4, 5, 6 riders crashing in on them. They don't give up between the whistles, and I love it. It's a different mentality from what we're used to seeing, and it's refreshing that we're 5 games into the season and it's still there.
So we were talking about the good. Obviously there's bad when you lose, especially when you give up 35 points. The secondary. I would like to know exactly. Just obviously they were running a zone defense, and you have a tall receiver like McInnes. Vernon Adams was on. He was making some really good throws, but just why they were so far off in that zone constantly. I think back to our talk with Paul Lapalisse about why don't CFL teams play more man? Like, why couldn't they just have one person on McInnes and then zone everywhere else? I was thinking about that watching that game, and I was really hoping we'd see it, but we didn't. But the real bad to me out of that game was that 2-play change of momentum with Stearns missing that touchdown pass that it was right there for him. He obviously lost
Hit him on
it
his back shoulder.
Yeah, he clearly lost it in the dome, or even though the roof was open, he lost it in the lights. Jamarcus Hardrick gets hurt on that play, and then the very next play, Brett Lawther misses a field goal. So that, they kept fighting after that. They stayed in it. They got themselves back in the game, which is a credit to where this team is compared to what they were the last couple of years. But that's, to me, that was the worst part of that game, was just those couple plays. Nothing bigger than losing Jamarcus Hardrick now with a quad injury that's going to require surgery. They're not ruling him out for the year yet, but I'm not putting any expectations on him being back this year, personally.
They also didn't rule out Trevor Harris last year, and I don't think anybody
Yeah.
expected to see him back. So we know what we're getting. But you're right, that play, you could feel something sucked out of the team when that ball doinked off Jarrett Stern's back. There was just something there, and kudos to the team for flipping the switch back on and realistically putting themselves back into it. But what a horrid stretch of 30 seconds of football that could have a long-lasting effect on our season, or will have a long-lasting effect on our season.
Well, and especially with a man that big, even if it is a injury you come back from, that's a large man where you put any pressure on those legs, it's going to take a while to heal. Even if he could rehab that back, it's going to take some time. But okay, guys, I legit thought I was just jumping in the back room. I didn't think I was coming on live, so I am going to get out of here and
Good riddance.
have a good rest of the show. And I look forward to listening to you guys trash me later.
Oh, there'll be plenty more. Don't worry about that.
Honestly,
All
I
right,
forgot
see you
you
at the game.
existed until you showed up.
See you, Greg.
That's fair. I forget you exist all the time until I get DMs from you. So, sorry, fellas.
All right, see
See
you.
you, buddy. Enjoy your vacation.
Good riddance, Greg. Go back on vacation. Enjoy your time. And also make sure you pity follow him. I cannot stress that enough.
Don't. He didn't deserve any pity follows for that.
Yeah, that's true. We weren't expecting that. I did not think he'd join us. Threw me off. But anyway, just to finish off this talk about the Rider game, I just hate losing Jamarcus Hardrick. That's the biggest thing. They signed Nick Jones on the offensive line, who actually was a tackle in college. So we have like 7 offensive linemen on the suspended list. It'd be nice if one of those guys happened to shake available now and wants to come up to Saskatchewan, because I don't know how many more guys they can possibly recruit. But those injuries are starting to pile up, and I don't like it.
and they're piling up in one specific spot, and that's the worst part. Is you can handle an injury here or there, but losing arguably two of your best offensive linemen long term. Thank God we signed Sevier in the offseason, and he could jump in for Blake, but there's not a lot. You're not going to get somebody to jump in for Jamarcus Hardrick. You're not going to get a guy that can replace that. You just hope you can find somebody who can fill his shoes for a little while till he gets healthy, because he was a beast.
So hopefully it's not a full season injury. We can get him back for the stretch, but like I said, I'm leery on that right now. But obviously, I'm not the one with the injury, and I'm not a doctor. So, but that's the opening kickoff presented by Kathy Festian of Royal LePage Regina Realty. Let's jump to our Churchill Brewing Company odds and end zones, and we got to talk about, you mentioned it with Chunky, the Elks. They finally did it. And I didn't think they had the guts to do it. I really didn't think they would until the new owners were put in place, and they would do it at the end of the season. They finally fired Chris Jones after an 0-5 start, losing on another walk-off field goal, this time to Ottawa. They elked it. I don't know how else to say it. They elked that one. They're finding new creative ways to lose, and they've been doing this for years. It was a long time coming, and I'm just actually surprised that they did it.
Well, Farhan Lalji, I believe it was, said that they got clearance from the prospective new owners to make this decision happen. I don't think it happens otherwise. I think they're looking at it as, we're going to ride this out until the new owners take position or take control, and they can make the call. But if we're being honest, this was at least 5 games too late. This team has been on a downward spiral since he took over. There's been no, we saw it in Saskatchewan where there was progression from year to year, but he was 8-33. How does he have a job going 8 and, I mean, he doesn't anymore, but how do you have a job for that long, even at 8-28, and with no legitimate hope? And I said it on Twitter. I feel bad for the good Elks fans out there. They don't deserve this. And I'm glad that they get to now move on from the Chris Jones era and look forward to something potentially positive in the future.
1970s and 80s Edmonton fans deserve this. You're right though. But ultimately we do need, as fans of the CFL, right? We want more parity in the league, and you don't want to see teams struggle as much as we take, enjoyment in Winnipeg struggling to start the year, Edmonton struggling right now. Anytime Calgary struggles, we take enjoyment in that as fans, but ultimately they need to be competitive. They need to win games at home every once in a while, just to keep the fan base there. We saw, what was it, less than 18,000 people at that game against Ottawa. I know it was a Sunday in the summer, so it's a tougher draw, but they've checked out. Fans have checked out, and they'll save their money and go to a regular season Oilers game instead, because at least that team has a good chance of winning now. So,
and realistically, can you blame them?
No,
I mean,
I want to see
we saw
excitement.
that here.
Yeah.
Like, if we saw that in Rider Nation, I wouldn't blame fans for checking out. And we honestly did. The only reason we kept our attendance so long through that 15-16 season is because of the new digs. If we don't have that new stadium to look forward to, and to, at least give us a reason to go, I think we see a similar decline. And I hope that whoever the new ownership is that comes in has the same outlook on the CFL as Amar Doman and can build this. It'll take time, but they need to build them back up, because this league is better with a good Edmonton Elks team and fan base. Period.
And we need that everywhere. Like Hamilton being 0-5, we'd like to see them better, just because we don't want to see the same thing happen there, right? And it's Ottawa. It's nice seeing Ottawa at 3-2, because they're starting to lose the great fans that they did have, for that decade, their first 9 seasons here back in the CFL. So but like Trey Ford has 5 of those wins for out of Chris Jones's 8, and he refused to put him on the field. Taylor Cornelius was 3-16. Nick Arbuckle 0-3. McLeod Bethel Thompson 0-5. Trey Ford was 5-8. And I know you can't, it's not all on the quarterbacks because Bethel Thompson's not the one giving up 270 yards on 6 plays, these big explosion plays. He's not playing defensive back and can't tackle, but
something's got to give.
But that's the thing we normally see, especially in sports, right? If your team's not playing well, you change your quarterback. You do something. You can't change everybody, so that's the one you do just to show everybody you mean business, even if it's just for a half or something. That's the spark. And with G-Roy Simon now being named interim general manager, Jarius Jackson now the interim head coach. Jarius Jackson said he's going to work on trying to get Trey Ford on the field. Still said MBT's the starter, but if they can get Trey, the one thing I don't necessarily believe Jarius Jackson all the way when he says that we're working on getting Trey Ford on the field is you're the offensive coordinator. Why couldn't you draw up plays for him before? Like, did you have them in and Chris Jones just nixed it every single time? Like, I don't know.
I could see it given Chris Jones's outlook on Canadians as a whole in the CFL. I mean, we joked about his complete lack of F's given towards the CFL draft. He seemed to rely entirely on the American side of the border. And I could see him doing something like that. We're going, no, MBT's my guy. This is what we're going with. Because if the moment you bring Trey Ford onto the field, if he succeeds, fans want more. Which, I mean, good. What a terrible problem to have. They want to see more of a guy who's doing well instead of a guy who's, I mean, not that MBT's the problem, obviously. He didn't kick the ball out of bounds with 8 seconds left, which is hilarious to me. I wish we could find like a chart on the next way the Elks will mess up a football game, because they seem to find fun ways to do it. Between the single point last year against us, booting it out of bounds with 8 seconds left. Like, they're doing it with style.
They're filling up that bingo card pretty fast.
Yeah.
Saw someone joking around on social media, and I started thinking about it. I'm like, you know what? Maybe it actually is the name change. It's like the curse of the Bambino or the Billy Goat curse in Chicago for the Cubs. Like,
don't put that out into the world.
I don't know how else to explain it, though. That's the thing, is like they're lost, especially the way that they're losing, and they were the flagship franchise for how many decades in the CFL, and then just to come crashing down the way they have, like, you can't explain it. Like, it's just
coaching.
Yeah, well,
they
were starting to slip before Chris Jones showed up. So, but that also
I didn't say it was just Chris Jones's coaching.
That also coincides with Michael Riley leaving. So, anyway, they lose to Ottawa. Chris Jones gets the boot.
Some conspiracy guy is going to cut out it was the name change part of your post. So. And yeah, that's all we're going to see on Twitter now.
Probably. It'll be Jeffrey, the resident Stamps fan that can't leave us alone for some reason. Other games last week: Toronto, Montreal. Toronto went into Montreal and just thumped them. Cody Fajardo got injured. It was a kind of a hamstring thigh injury. Hopefully it's nothing serious. They have the bye week this week. So he has an extra little bit of time to get right, of course, to play the Riders next week. 13 straight wins for Montreal. Pretty impressive. I got nothing else for that game. Other than Janarian Grant for Toronto had another touchdown return. This guy's insane. Like 10 touchdown returns in 50 games. That's unheard of.
And he looks like he has no intentions of slowing down. It's what he does when he gets the ball is incredible. You know he's going to return it. You know it's going to be electrifying. You just have to sit back and watch. And as a Rider fan, I hate when he comes to Mosaic Stadium because you know he's going to do something dirty. He does it every game. No.
Ban him. No. Ban him from the stadium.
Yeah.
But he almost had another one in that game too. So he's just awesome is what he is. He's awesome. Calgary, Winnipeg last week. That was the Chaos Football League. wild game from start to finish. And I've been saying, we talked about it last week about how, can 2 minutes, the final 2 minutes of a game save a full game. This game from opening kickoff to the very end was a roller coaster. It was wild. And it wasn't necessarily good football. Some of it was super sloppy and just awful, but it was fun to watch. That's the game of the year so far anyway.
This game was the CFL at both its best and its worst, but by far its most entertaining. I couldn't look away. It was just fun isn't the right word because it was bad at times, but it kept you intrigued. And I want to see more of it. And it shows, and Greg said it in the power rankings, that Calgary and Winnipeg are basically the same football team.
Yeah.
I want to see them go back and forth all season. I think it'd be fun.
They both have overrated backup quarterbacks who are only good at running, and their starting quarterbacks just aren't that good anymore. But they really are the same. My goodness.
Rely entirely on their running game.
Yeah. People are saying Winnipeg's back now after beating Ottawa with Dustin Crum at quarterback for most of the game after illegally taking out Drew Brown, and then beating Calgary with Jake Mayer, a backup quarterback. No, Winnipeg's not back. I'm not
careful because with us playing them this week, I'm not going to say anything that could throw some karma out there. But let's settle the horses down a little bit. They're still getting older. They're still not there yet. Ontario Houston looked good. I'm a little concerned with him coming into Mosaic. What did I say?
Houston.
I had the on. We're close enough. But he looked, whoever his name is, he looked good. And I thought he'd had the game of the year until Justin McInnes decided to top it a couple days later, the next day.
I have a feeling that Corey Mason and his coaching staff and the players were watching that game and they know all about him now. So I think they'll be a little bit more prepared than Calgary was for him. Well, let's talk about that. Riders getting ready this week against the Bombers Friday at 7:30. Debut of the Obsidian jerseys. This alternate logo. I realize if you're listening, you can't see that I'm wearing the hat and the shirt with the Obsidian logos on it. But it's the green is the color theme. Talk to Chunky about it. It's that energy level that the team comes out. They won't be surprised like that team back in the 2000s was by going back in after warm-ups and finding out that they're wearing the black jerseys. But when I look at that hype video when they revealed the jerseys and the uniforms, when it was Keen Schaefer Baker going into the team meeting room, and those guys lost their mind. They love this look. I'm looking forward just to seeing how it looks under the lights. It'll still be light out when the game starts, but as the game progresses, once we get to the second half, like it's going to be dark out, and I want to see how close they are under the lights to the black jerseys. But just to see if there's a different energy with this team wearing these, because we've seen that even with the regular retro jerseys, the team came out with a little bit more fire every time they wore those. So I wonder if we're going to see something like that again.
When these came out, I wanted to hate them because I hated the black jersey. Loved the way we played in them. Hated them as green's our color. The Riders are green. The green and white, that's it. I'm a traditionalist. Yes, I realize we have red and black in our history. Shut up. But when you look at it, I'm pumped for this now. I don't know what it is, but I think it's partially the reaction by the team. The fan base is what surprised me the most. I don't think I've seen more than a small handful of people say anything negative about this release and this color and this logo and everything. I want to see the fan base get behind it. And I want to see it, like you said, in game action with those helmets. They need to put those helmets in the store because I feel like those would sell like wildfire.
Well, I got my old retro one here as well too, signed by the 09-2010 team. Get that logo on the helmet. They have one for display, but it's display only at the Rider store. I would love to get this year's team's auto on on a full-size helmet like that, because that would be awesome.
I legitimately don't know why they don't do that. I don't know why helmets are. I wonder if it's a, what do you call it? Potentially a risk thing getting those helmets out into the world. Maybe they don't want those, in the stadium during games. But I wish they would sell these because I would buy one tomorrow.
Please take my $300 Saskatchewan Roughriders because I want to buy one.
Oh no, you can use your $10 off coupon then.
Oh yeah, I can do that definitely. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with this, and we've already seen, I think, to your point about getting the crowd involved with it through the first couple home games. There's a lot of Obsidian jerseys out there. There's a lot of Obsidian merch that has been sold. People are wearing them to games. So I know with this one, people know now that it's the Obsidian game that they're going to go out and buy a shirt or buy a jersey or whatever they're going to do. And we're going to see a lot more in the stands this one. And I think the atmosphere is going to be something special for this game.
I hope so. And I hope there's 27,000 plus in the stands, and they bring it's a Friday night game. That is the best day for football. Yes. I want to see a party in the stands. Let's do it.
Now on to the actual game itself. Winnipeg obviously winning 2 straight games. Collaros finally got it going in the second half against Calgary last week. The first half, he didn't really look that good. That was the chaos part of that game. But they looked, their offense anyway looked pretty good in the second half. Once they realized, oh, hey, we have Brady Oliveira, let's give him the ball. And he started running well. And then that allowed Collaros a little bit extra time to find Nick Dembski, Ontario
Wilson.
Wow, not Wilson. Now I'm the one blanking on his name. Thank you. But seeing them get going, they're back. I'm not too worried about that. The only thing that really gets me worried is if Brady Oliveira gets going, because that's when we've seen over the years, or when it was Andrew Harris, that's when Zach Collaros is at his best. When he doesn't have to be a superstar. And I think look at the Riders' D-line. Look at the run defense that they've had. William Stanback in this last game, 12 carries for 14 yards. Like, that guy's a stud. And they shut him down to nothing. Brady Oliveira, I think he'll get more than 14 yards. But I like our chances of shutting him down as well on the D-line.
If there's one part of our game that does not concern me in the slightest, it is the run defense. We are now 5 games into the season. We have not given up 100 yards to a team, let alone a player, to a team to start the season. That is unheard of. This is not how it works in the CFL. That's what they clearly pride themselves on. That's where they aim their plays, because they have ball hawks in the secondary that can make things happen. They concentrate on stopping the run. Shut down Brady Oliveira, and you make Zach Collaros look not even human. You make him look like Jake Mayer.
I think if they do that, we'll be in very good position.
Yep.
What does worry me, though, is the Riders' offensive line. Obviously, losing Jamarcus Hardrick, that's a big one. Jacob Brammer is going to get the first crack at right tackle. He's been on the practice roster to start the year. He was a guard, kind of played tackle in college. But I mean, we've wanted to say we want to see the young guys play, right? Well, now we're going to get it. Trevor Reed, thankfully, back. He'll be up at his usual left tackle spot. So I guess we'll see. Protection wise, they've still been good this year. But who knows? Maybe Jacob Brammer can somehow miraculously get the running game going, because it took them quite a while against BC to get it going. When they did, it was Ouellette was running pretty well in the second half there against BC. But they got to get it going early in this one.
2 things in this game have to happen early. Number 1, you have to get AJ Ouellette invested into the game and moving the ball. But more importantly, Shea Patterson has to have a legitimately decent first quarter, because we've seen both against Toronto and BC, he has stumbled out of the gates. He nearly threw 2 interceptions against BC, nearly threw a couple against Toronto in the first quarter. He seems to warm up as the game goes on, and that's great. But against good teams, you can't give them that kind of, lead or field position or what have you to start a game and expect to come out ahead every time. It worked against Toronto. It's not always going to work. So get Shea Patterson going, get him, short plays, get those screens, those little dump off passes, just get the balls. We have playmakers galore on this offense. We saw it. Guys that will fight for every single yard. Just get the ball in their hands, get Shea Patterson going, and go from there.
Well, what I liked in that BC game was when they did a little shovel pass to Sean Bain Jr. Went for about 7-8 yards. When they did RPO with faking the handoff to Ouellette and then hitting Sam Emelis on a short play, who ended up taking it 51 yards. They made some good short, quick plays. And the fight that these guys have, we've seen Keane Schaefer-Baker. He did it again against BC. Gets an intermediate catch, refuses to go down, drags the pile, another 10 yards with him. We have big time playmakers in this offense. And I'd like to see, just to start the game, maybe everyone knows we're probably going to hand it off to Ouellette first play, right? Like, that's just the assumption that we all have, that it's going to be a run up the middle and he might get 2 yards. Maybe. Fake that. And then throw a little, out or a little screen pass somewhere else. Get it out to KSB, Emelis, Stearns, right? Like, I mean, you have all these big time players. Get them the ball right away, just to build that confidence right off the bat. And then you can take your shots and let it build from there. Because I think if Shea Patterson can get those first couple throws under his belt, then he doesn't have that in the back of his mind anymore. Because if he has another slow start to this game like he has the other 2 games, yeah, he got better, but that thought's just there. It just might be in the back of his mind. And you don't want that. Oh, great. Here we go again. And if the fans might even see it. Oh, great. Here we go again. Here comes another rough start. And then fans in the stands get restless and the energy's gone, right? I'd like to see Mark Mueller call a lot of closer to the to the line of scrimmage plays, just those quick plays, hitches, screens, swing passes, get AJ Ouellette on some swing passes, and just spread out the defense a little bit. If you can get them spread out, then you can run up the middle a little bit easier, and you can, don't have to wait till the fourth quarter to get the run game going. So that's what I want to see. When you look at the defense, I'm not worried about the defense, even though they gave up a boatload of yards and points to BC. I can't see Caleros making the same throws that Adams was making. I just can't see it.
And realistic, if you look back at that game, I would say 4 or 5 of the catches that Justin McInnis made, our defense was perfectly positioned to stop it. He's just
his radius was
massive
insane.
Human. Yeah. It
He
looks
just made
worse
plays.
than it was. Yeah. The defense will not have a game like that again
No.
with the receivers that Winnipeg has right now. I just don't see the same level of threat on their roster that Winnipeg or that BC possesses. There's just no, Kenny Lawler's out, Dalton Schoen's out, even Carrick Wheatfall is out. Like they're falling down the depth chart. They don't have those same guys that BC has to, instill that level of fear in me. I'm not too concerned about our defensive backfield.
All right, well, let's get to our pick'em for this week, and I have it ready to go.
Piffles Picks.
Well, folks, when you're right 52% of the time, you're wrong 48% of the time.
And Greg was right about the percentages, because we're all hovering that 500 mark. Greg's leading the way
year in the CFL.
Yeah, Greg's leading the way for us at 11-13 against the spread. We're both 10-14. But back-to-back winning weeks for me. I was 2-2 last week. Beat you guys. Haha.
Ooh.
Yeah, like it was hard. You guys were 1-3. All right. Well, normally Greg makes us both guess because Greg decided to leave again. I guess that leaves me in charge about these picks this week. So Edmonton, the rematch at Ottawa, the first part of the doubleheader on Friday. Oh, actually, you know what? Before we get to that, what do you think of going with a doubleheader on Friday and no Thursday game this week?
Hate it. Absolutely hate it. First of all, I'm going to be at the game on Friday, so I can't watch the other game. But most importantly, I love when there's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday game. There's just something fun about having football more than
Every night.
half of your week. Go back to the Thursday to Sunday.
All right, fair enough. Okay, well, against the spread, Edmonton at Ottawa. What do you think it is?
I'm going to go Ottawa minus 3.5.
Ooh, you're close. 2.5 is where it opened. So I'm gonna. It's one of those weird things where a coaching change can do wonders, but I just think Edmonton sucks so much. And Ottawa's, they're feeling it right now. As long as Drew Brown is healthy, he's going to keep them in games. So for me, I'll take Ottawa by a field goal.
I'm going to take Edmonton. I think they flipped the script this week, and I think they win on a walk-off field goal.
I think it would be funny if they were down by 1 or 2 points, went to kick a field goal and hit the upright or something. That'd be a new way for them to lose. Could you imagine?
That's true.
Could you imagine?
I'm not putting that evil out into the world. Those poor Elks fans have had enough.
I'll do it. I want to see it happen. I want to see him hit the post on a game-winning field goal. Winnipeg at Saskatchewan.
I know that Winnipeg is favored in this game. I've seen, I think 3 Down had an article. I didn't read it, so I don't know how much, but I'm going to go that 2.5.
You know, the site that Greg sent to me had the Riders starting out as 1.5 point favorites. So these are Greg's rules on Piffles Picks here. So we go where the line starts, not where it is now, but where it started, and it was Saskatchewan 1.5.
I mean, I feel like that's right. The Riders are a better team.
I agree.
I'm taking Saskatchewan. No hesitation.
I'm right there with you. I think this game is going to be close. I think it's going to be a tough game, but I think that ultimately our team is better than Winnipeg's. And that's even with, backup lineman and quarterback. Saturday's game, first game of the Battle of the QE Dub, Toronto and Hamilton.
Toronto's got to be favored by close to a touchdown. 6.5?
No, 4.5 is what it started at.
Really?
Yeah, against an 0-5 Hamilton team.
Fresh off of beating an undefeated team. Yes, they were without their starting quarterback for half the game, but still, that's questionable at best. I mean, Hamilton hasn't looked good.
No,
at least with Edmonton,
awful.
At least with Edmonton, you feel like they've been getting closer. To me, it feels like Hamilton's going in the other direction. Give me Toronto and 4.5. Absolutely, I'll take those points.
Yep, same here.
Or I guess I'll take the cover.
And then final game, BC at Calgary.
There's what it should be and what it probably is, because this should be a double-digit spread in my mind.
Well, it is not.
I know it. That's why I said there's a should be. I'm going in Calgary 7.5.
Oh, you're pretty ambitious. No, it was 4.5.
Have they been watching these two teams?
If you can still find it at 4.5, take it.
Yeah, in a heartbeat.
Yeah,
give
I got
me
BC on that easily,
the points,
for sure.
the spread, whatever you want. Hell, give me double the spread and I would still take that. 4.5 is ridiculous. Calgary's awful.
Yes, they are.
And it's delightful.
It is, isn't it?
I always enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, I got nothing else. So that I guess, unless you have something else, if you want to keep talking, I'm going to jet out. Otherwise, I think we'll leave it there.
Add things towards Greg, so we'll just leave it there.
We'll save that
for
the
high road.
Our own personal stash.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, It should be a fun night. It's gonna be hot on Friday, but the Obsidian debut, I'm looking forward to seeing the team come out, and to bring them out for that, I think is gonna be fun. So should be a pretty good game against Winnipeg. We'll be back next week to talk all about that, and then look ahead to a short week against Montreal, which should be a pretty interesting game for the Riders as well. We were talking about July was going to be a pretty tough month for the Riders. You had Toronto, BC, Winnipeg, Montreal going into the season. To us, those were the 4 top teams in the league. So you get them all in 1 month, and you're doing it with your backup quarterback and now backup offensive linemen everywhere. So
Give me one Saskatchewan win on Friday, and I would be more than thrilled with a 2-2 stretch over that 4-point game.
absolutely. So if they can get the record to 5-1, things are looking pretty good here in Saskatchewan. So that's what I'm looking forward to seeing, is the team making it 5-1, 1-0 this week. But we'll leave it there. Piffles Podcast brought to you by our great friends at Dairy Queen on Elphinstone Street and Sask Drive in Regina. Special thanks, of course, go out to Kathy Festian of Royal LePage Regina Realty and Churchill Brewing Company for their support, making the show possible. Thanks for listening wherever you get your podcasts, watching on YouTube or SaskTel Max TV on demand. We do appreciate that. As we leave you, this is Tyler Gilbert with Ghost Behind Your Mind.